Hello, this is Shad commentating the semifinals of my scukp tournament. That is Shad Custom Untitled. Really? What? Shad Custom Untitled Kingdom Project. I guess that's what I named it. Well, the point of it was just that it would be fun to say for me and for nobody else. Um, and we have two strong competitors, hakha3 and TeamOkay, that made it past the group stage. On the other side, we have Rust2 and El Taco, I think. I kind of set it up so that those people are the source of the kingdoms for this side of it. I guess that just makes sense, because that way, if any of them make it to the finals, I don't have to worry about. Ooh, do they have a subscription? Awesome. um, so neither of them have a subscription. I don't know if there's like a way that I can evilly like use my subscription to give to them. Maybe one of them is just buying it right now. I mean, surely you just ought to do that anyway. Yeah, okay. I guess TeamOkay is going to buy a new Dominion subscription. I think I know about Hakha being somebody that like usually goes subscription free. And good for him. And he's earned it for sure. Although I think that he's also earned money from a Dominion tournament or something, like a championship. Okay. Hakha is also gone subscription free this time around. I guess TeamOkay is dipped out to buy a subscription. Which I guess gives hakha3 additionally time to review these kingdoms. I have a message, or I sent a message to Rust2, that you might notice that second kingdom. I guess you might not notice it, but that second kingdom that's in the Discord that we'll see eventually had gondola twice. Whoops. Oh, that makes me the owner of the table now. Awesome. I'm gonna like leave and rejoin. Uh-oh. Maybe can I like delegate my table ownership to somebody? That's a feature that this should have. Yeah, I was thinking about if I'm the person who like owns the table. Yeah, that's fine. So I guess Hakha's making a new table. I wonder if I'm the table owner, then my subscription goes to the two players of the game, but that's kind of already being dealt with. Okay. Just because I haven't stated it yet, I mean, if you're watching the video and you're this deep in, I guess you're kind of already interested. But the point of scukp is that these are all kingdoms that were designed by players of the tournament, or at least in this bracket phase. They're all designed by players of the tournament who sent these kingdoms as part of their sign-up. So these are just all... Oh, you know what it is? It's not untitled. Shad Custom Unvetted Kingdoms Project. And the point is that it's just one person that chooses the kingdom, and I guess I vet them. So I vet them to make sure that they don't have any pesky border guards that snuck in or something. But other than that, you know, I don't have any judgment about whether the tournament is unfit for play. It turns out that basically all the kingdoms that we've seen have been perfectly fit for play, because people don't just join a tournament and say like, haha, this is my chance to like make something slightly unfun for another random group of people. Oh yeah, they have to turn off spec check. Whee! We're free. No. Have fun, Hakha says. I like this kingdom that we're seeing right away. This is just cool. A board where there isn't any good source of like general actions. Of course, Recruiter usually is perfectly good for that purpose, but there isn't really a gainer. Do I have the no on who submitted this kingdom? This, I think, was El Taco. Let me check that, though. Let me not check that because I'm going to do it in my browser, which would open that Google Sheet in my in the video, and I don't feel like doing that. But yeah, I'm pretty sure this was El Taco. I'm pretty sure I set it up so that the other two semifinalists are the ones who supply the kingdoms for this this semifinal. Look at El Taco submitting a reasonable kingdom. Yeah, this is like such a reasonable kingdom. Oh, somebody has Hermit on their ban list. Yeah, darn. Yeah, that's part of what you pay for with this. Part of the reason of my like restricted list was that things like Swindler don't have to be seen by too many people, and I tried to get a good gamut of generally disliked cards to put in there. Of course, since they're restricted, you still have the chance of seeing them once. But apparently some people don't like Hermit, and of course, picking a random card that is generally inoffensive to hate on, who would do that? But I guess TeamOkay is a Hermit hater. And I guess I have to play with it. This is not a superstar board for Hermit, because there's definitely good ways of trashing, and there's other stuff that you want at 3. I mean, I'd be happy to get as many gears as I can hold. But it is probably worth opening with. You don't get a whole lot done with those Madman turns either. There isn't any, like, superpower stuff to do at the beginning. Of course, it's just always nice to... Yeah, it does feel like a finicky village. Right, I was like starting to say that all of the action sources here are slightly awkward. Yeah, Kermit doesn't work. Maybe that is supposed to work, and it doesn't. Maybe that's just supposed to be like a trick. It's not. This is a board that is like more interesting if you're not doing Hermit, I think, or you're not doing Kermit. I mean, because there's like other ways of drawing, and it's like slightly difficult, but like perfectly doable. I guess you can like do a bunch of displace stuff. But yeah, Sewers is good. Sewers is nice. There's like a lot of interesting, like this is one where the opening is really not obvious. It's probably especially not obvious if you don't usually play with Hermit. That's a definite difficulty. Oh, and I should have reminded them that Hakha was supposed to get the first start, but it looks like they got that right. Hakha goes for the 2 Hermits and collides them instantly. I think that's usually right. I've definitely started to think that opening with Sewers is kind of a mistake, because you can always just plan to buy it on turn 3 and it'll still be, at least partially as good. Of course, Hermit plus Way the Frog is still nice, because then you get to play one of them as a frog. I would have like forgotten to do that if I was playing this. I think probably not, but gets rid of Necropolis. Buying a Sewers is a freebie. Getting Hermit again. I assume that Hakka's going to follow suit. Yeah, I guess man-manning is like great when there's Hermit, or when there's... Oh, interesting. Choosing to keep the overgrown estate for I don't know what reason. Just because it's slightly nice to trash it at a later date, and there wasn't really any point to drawing that card then. Sure, that makes sense. Putting the Madman on top. Yeah, I mean, like, Hermit and Kermit are, like, friends. Even if there isn't a nifty rules interaction that joins them. But, yeah, there isn't. This is a really interesting board for Displace. I think that no matter what these players do, they're going to have a lot of fun with Displace. Because it's a gainer, and you can use it to, like... first of all, bounce between provinces, and probably nobles is better than golds, because you get a bunch of extra points. Kermit is friends with most action cards, yeah. But you can also use, like, you'll use Displace as also just a gainer of stuff for Recruiter to splash into more actions, because I think that you're not going to want to play nobles for actions. Although if you end up with a lot of them, there's not really a reason not to. So yeah, this is like a good board. This is a good like finicky villager. Even though it won't be that finicky. Like if you're gaining golds and playing them with or binning them with recruiter, then that's just gonna work. But there might be like slightly more efficient ways of doing it, including landing party stuff. Early gold is really interesting. I would say that I dislike it. I don't know what the point of it is. Maybe just as like something that you're going to want to displace. No, you're recruiting it. Maybe it's like slightly better to have in your deck if you're planning on recruiting it. So that why are you buying something like this early to try to recruit it? No, that makes sense. I mean, this turn it's nice to have the gold because you're just buying something with it. Huh. I suspect that that's a displace. Yep. It's up to the players whether they want to mess with Baron. I mean, it's just like there. Of course, you end up with the estate. Oh, and you're trashing it right away. No. That's the only way to get buys. But I don't think that you need buys. It's just that you'll end up with like maybe a bunch of extra gold or something. Yeah, landing. I suspect that players aren't going to have enough time for landing party either. This actually looks like a board that they just generated randomly and liked. And that's kind of like, I submitted a few, like a handful of boards to that group stage thing. And, oh yeah, but that's also, yeah, just a freebie thing to gain with catacombs if you trash it. That's nice. Yeah, like, I don't know, if you're planning to pitch it to recruiter, then you'd want the catacombs more. And sometimes it's just a nice thing to find a good board in the random thing, because I think that the random kingdom generator just is a better way of picking, like it's better at making kingdoms than people are. And that's why we always use it instead of player design kingdoms. And you can sort of, play a nice middle ground there by just picking a board that the random generator made, but then just curating it or whatever. TeamOkay looks like they're on track to madmanify a lot of their hermits, so they should probably try to gain more of them. Gains a curse to trash a copper. That's funny. Okay, so they're hermitless though, and I think that that's a problem. You want to make sure that you always have a hermit in this deck, and if you don't, I mean that you're just short gains. Like literally, just hermit and recruiter is a village. I think it's an Acropolis, right? Because you end up down a card, I think. Or do you? The recruiter is card neutral, but the hermit is card negative, right? Yeah, so it ends up being Acropolis. But it's also just like, I mean, they gained a silver with it there, but that's something that they could have done this turn. It's not like that silver does anything for you in the shuffle, so I think that was a mistake. And it's possible that they just kind of forgot about how all their hermits were going to flip and that they won't have one anymore. That's something, in fact, that's like, I just remembered that they don't play with hermit, and that's like an easy mistake to make if you don't play with hermit often, because it's like just, it's one of those things where there's an effect that happens that you're not necessarily planning on, Like it's that thing where sometimes you'll try to pile by buying all of the pages or something, and then you just accidentally click exchange. That was a real big problem on the other client that was more confusing and didn't have undos. But yeah, now they're just like really. Oh wait, somehow they have a hermit. Wait, how did that happen? Oh yeah, they exile the silver and gained a hermit. That's not like horrible. It's just awkward. Like you'd rather not do that, I guess. And that turn they kind of that was like a real treading water turn for them. But now they have a hermit at least. And they have yeah. But this looks like a good game for Hakha, and of course Hakha has first player advantage anyway. And this is anything that has Hermit, I think there's a threat for there to be good first player advantage. I'm not sure if this is that much of a kingdom like that. But yeah, I mean, I see the Mystic and the Cartographer, and those are signs that this is a random kingdom to me. Because those are ones that you just don't buy. And I feel like if you're designing a kingdom, there's always that like feeling that you don't want to waste the slot in it. Right? Like all 10 of these cards should be something that like plays into the puzzle. That's what you always want. Barons with Shelters feels random too. I wonder if oh yeah, and they spelled out Shelters, huh? That's funny. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. But yeah, and the random thing doesn't care about that, and I think that it's really pleasant to have one or two dud slots, especially because things look like a dud slot and aren't sometimes, and it's also hard to get that little nuance if you're designing it. Like, oh, there is a case like I would say Landing Party sort of looks like a dud slot, but it's definitely the thing that you want to gain if you trash a Catacombs, and that's just like a slightly interesting fold. Whereas Landing Party is always interesting, kind of. Landing Party always threatens to be slightly interesting. Like if you have a turn that looks like a dud and you could just skip your action and play a silver or something, then that's always a choice. This is not a board where that's ever going to happen because everybody has Madman and green cards or orange cards forever. There was definitely a period of time where Madman, yeah, Boar, welcome to the team. There's a long period of time where Hermit made me feel like I was just a bad player, and I think I talked about this in the Discord at some point. But it's just a hard card, and it turns your deck into a completely different thing where you're trying to you're always wondering whether you should skip your buy phase. Of course, the players are just kind of always doing that because they're full of displaces. But yeah, man, Displace and Hermit are both cards that are just feel weird to game with, and TeamOkay's deck just didn't work out where they have a lot of the stuff that they want. Like you want to kind of have a lot of the same card in exile. Well, I would say that I used to feel that way, that it makes me feel like a bad player, and I kind of have gotten around that, and I still lose with Hermit a lot, and I think that I abandoned the Hermit plan too early very often, or I abandoned the Madman plan too early. And I've had games where I'm playing somebody on ladder who's like level 52, which is of course a perfectly reasonable level, but somebody that I would expect to win. And I'm doing the cycling through my deck with Madman turn after turn, and they're just kind of not playing with it that much. And I'm doing something that feels really good, and then I just kind of don't get everything right. I get everything not quite right, and then my deck just crashes and I lose, and it's wow, that Hermit made a fool out of me, as it so often does. But yeah, Hakha has that clean deck. I guess they ran out of Hermits, but they're kind of at the point where they have the displace engine going. And they have like plenty of residual madmens anyway. Madmen. Don Draper. And a good set of stuff in exile. Whereas I keep like flashing my email address. And calling attention to it too. But yeah, this looks like a good game for Hakha, and I think that TeamOkay is still just kind of spinning out. Yeah, that second recruiter isn't very good for you either. Yeah, Displace is not a good card for you if you're not knocking things back out of exile, and I think the TeamOkay kind of saw that was a problem. Okay, this next kingdom is missing a card, and I didn't hear back from Rust 2 to try to fill it in. That's unfortunate. I will... If the players need reminding, I will point out to them that they should just let this last card or this last slot be open. And that TeamOkay should be first player. Looks like they have that down. Shelters, no colonies. It looks like that's staying. Shelters, no colonies. This has TeamOkay. Shelter should be off. Vampire Cav does not work. Yeah, it doesn't take you back for the night phase into the action phase. So I pinged TeamOkay saying that it should be shelters off. Oh, and Hakha noticed it. So that's good. Yeah, that's like... I guess that's a weird... So what ended up being the last slot? I actually don't know. Wait, what? Infirmary, maybe? Cultist. Oh, wow. Awesome. Oh, no, Cultist was in there. So wait, what was it? Watchtower, Vampire, Wizards. Courtyard. Oh, awesome. Yeah, that doesn't really change things much. This is a cool board. I'm gonna like get a message from Rust 2 that the last one was supposed to be Courtyard. I'll be like, awesome. Yeah, this was another board that I just liked. Like, what's up with this? This is cool. There's all sorts of stuff with this. Oh yeah, yeah. I would say it's like a medium help. I mean, you don't want to have that many terminals. The Courtyard is good for these turn 3 and turn 4. Yeah. But you're not going to want the Courtyard to stay in the deck that long. In fact, like, it's something that you're going to trash after not too long. Oh, but I didn't realize that they weren't playing Cultist. Yeah, no, in fact, that Vampire Courtyard open is pretty awesome. That's just how the cookie crumbles. Russ is going to message me and say that the last card was supposed to be Border Guard. And I'm going to be like, no. I'm not 100% sure that I double-checked that Cultist was restricted for the bracket matches, but I think that we're good. Oh yeah, and it has that like awesome chapel thing, the Fellowship of Scribes. Yeah, so maybe the 5/2 isn't that good. I mean, it's more like a nice compensation for getting 5/2. Hakha open with that. Oh, Hakha open Sinister Plot Student. So they got like the perfect opening. Maybe they're gonna try vampire or cavalry vampire instead of vampire cavalry. It was a pretty normal game, I would say. Just a difficult one. Maybe this kingdom was supposed to have 2 stacks of gondolas, like for their villaging. Because I like think that if they were to do the bridge troll and cavalry business hardcore, then they would have use for an 11th and 12th gondola. Yeah, not every kingdom is going to get played, but only, I think that all the player submitted kingdoms, with the exception of like a small handful for the finals, because the finals is going to be like first to 3.5, and I have 7 kingdoms set aside, but it could be as few as 4 that get played. And there's also like maybe I set aside like 2 of them for those like 5th, 6th, and 7th place tiebreakers. I don't know if those people are going to want to play, and if they don't, then those kingdoms are just going to gather dust. So yeah, not slightly unlucky. Yeah, mildly interesting. That totally works. Do you remember if the Hermit Displaced Kingdom, if that was one that you got randomly and just like I guess curated it or whatever, or is that a kingdom that you made up? This is interesting. I would want to buy the bridge troll here, but I do also want to trash. I also would have drawn there as TeamOkay. Maybe they weren't accounting for the -1 coin token. Wow. I really don't get just their ardent refusal to Sinister Plot. That's, yeah. It's good to draw cards. You can like play, you can you can play actions in the night phase even if cavalry doesn't work, because you can gain a gondola with vampire, and that's something that I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. Wow, do you have like an autoplay that just refuses to spend your boxes, your cubes? Yeah, as soon as somebody gets 4 bridge trolls down, that's just like 1 pile that's secretly gone. And of course you can like buy a bridge troll, or buy as many bridge trolls as you want, and then buy gondolas to play them, and then, well, buy cavalries to draw them. Yeah, once bridge trolls start going down, there's other piles that are gonna follow suit. Buying gondola is nice because then, like, you can buy cavalries. Like this is a turn where Hakha could kind of get away with, like, popping off a little bit. Because if you buy cavalry, that's probably an investment that pays itself off. But going with another bridge roll is also totally reasonable. Okay, TeamOkay needs to draw here, or else I'm gonna like have a conniption. Wow, what? What is the point of that? Well, that's a really good war. Yeah, I feel like this is going to be another Hakha win. I think that Gondola's nice. The top text of it is silly. It's just kind of a silver. It's like a silver that if you want, it'll stay out of your deck for a turn. um, but I do really like a kind of innocuous extra way to play actions. Of course, any extra thing that plays your actions for you is going to threaten to be something that creates this like explosive situation with cavalry and whatever sometimes. But Gondola, again, because of its kind of inane top text, it refuses to be that like, that strong ever. Yeah, so Hakha wants these gondolas to be staying away. I don't really like that sorcerer, I think. I also like don't understand why there's 0 cultists. I guess it's just that Bridge Troll is a better attack and terminal and card. Yeah, guard dogs. I mean, I totally get that as a secret bottom text. Trying to think of a good analogy for when gondola is like the one tool that makes your deck explode. Like it's like if you're like setting off a bomb with a birthday candle. It's just like this silly little thing that like you can just have a lot of them, but the item itself doesn't really do anything, and it just kind of like hangs out in your deck and is a silver. Watchtower Lich. That's like something. Kind of. I don't see anything to complain about for Gondola. Me neither. Just like staple 2 artifacts onto it if you want me to hate it. Okay, so yeah, TeamOkay is just like never drawing. They're just okay with like piling up cubes until they have more cubes than cards in their deck. It would just be better to draw later. Who wants to draw cards now? Maybe at some point they'll like start collecting interest. Maybe like the box is gonna run out of cubes. Well, no, because they're different colors. Like the cubes pile is gonna get empty, and then Hakha can't draw cards anymore. We already have compound interest. We have compound interest as of the second to last second edition. Or wait, did the Hinterland second edition come before the Cornucopia one? I don't know. I am, of course, talking about Huge Turnip. If you, like, bank up your coffers and then keep playing Huge Turnip. Huge interest. I was, like, trying to think of a circumstance in which large interest rates are charged, and all of those are like comedy poison, like a person in dire straits situation that I don't want to make a joke about. Expansion 16. Which one are we on now? Which one's Rising Sun? Is that the 15th one? 14th? I think that Rising Sun is going to have interest. I mean, I'm interested. If I don't count promos. Cool. Okay, so what is Hakha thinking on? Did I like? Ugh, I don't want to refresh the page, but it's like my game crashed. I don't know what this decision point is. Maybe Hakka's thinking about whether to draw a card here, or trash a card. I mean, I guess not. So yeah, I mean, this is they now have basically infinite money, kind of. Not really. I assume that the bottom, or that the card left in their deck is a bridge troll. No, it's a sorcerer, right? Didn't they buy a sorcerer? So I guess TeamOkay has 5 bridge trolls. They just refuse to draw them. That's funny. Maybe Hawk is thinking about Gondola Double Vampire already threatens pile out. You mean like on the next turn? I mean, if TeamOkay draws here, then they're also, like, threatening to pile out, kind of. But it's definitely annoying to be doing all your gondola stuff in one turn. Because then you don't, like, end up with a bunch of extra buys, I guess. But then it's like the turn after this is when they really pop off. But this could be the turn after this now, if they had just done Sinister Plot earlier. I don't know. This next board is a total doozy. I'm like struggling to think of like why you have a sorcerer. I think that like anything else would be better. I don't know if they had like a vampire would be fine. I mean, it just gains a card for you. It's like something else. It's something that pushes you towards a pile out more. Instead of like maybe sending a curse, probably sending a curse. Is it locked up? I think that Huck is just taking a long time to think. Case in point. Okay, there's a copper on top. Wait. Who has the sorcerer? Where's the sorcerer? Oh. Why did I think that somebody gained a sorcerer then? Did they like undo that? Or did I just like see that the sorcerer pile was on 15 and be like, oh, somebody gained a sorcerer? We're all professionals here. Okay, well that's nice because you can like buy provinces if you're worried about TeamOkay popping off. I don't think that they will though. They're gonna pop off the turn after next one. Maybe it's gonna be like province, vampire, vampire or something. Okay. That's also an idea. But what are you accomplishing with these 8 cavalries? 9 cavalries. Okay, this actually, now that I look at it, definitely makes sense. Sort of. Definitely could be understood to potentially make sense. Because I don't see them piling out the gondolas themselves this turn. And it also means that TeamOkay can't get anything done unless they like kind of go a little bit aggressive on the gondolas, which is in turn something that makes it super easy for Hakha to pile the turn after that, unless they also win, which they can't do. So you're definitely like putting TeamOkay in this like Zugzwang or something, where in order to like make their deck do anything, they have to get gondolas. Whoa. But then in doing so, they're putting themselves in a horrible position. Like they're not going to be able to win here. I think that's just not in the cards. What are you going to do? Buy 2 duchies? And trash your 2 estates? So yeah, that was probably a good set of buys from Hakha, actually. Hakha is, of course, somebody that's good at thinking about the game. I don't know what I was about to say other than that. But as somebody that can see all the cards, I'm like missing that kind of slightly obvious thing. Or not obvious, but just like evident thing, which is that the opponent's deck doesn't do anything when there isn't cavalries and gondolas. And of course they can just buy gondolas here at their leisure. Okay. Hakha gets the extra scukp start. And it's up 2-0. They won as second player. I will look out for this next thing, which does state no colonies and no shelters again, and that's what the settings already are, which is nice. This is just a total doozy. This is one where I would like to be first player, kind of a lot, and Hakha gets that honor. I have to switch the turn order. Are they starting? Yeah, they did that wrong. Uh-oh. I hope that they saw my ping. Yes, you should be player 1. hakha3, as previously stated, is an expert noticer. Yeah, it is easy to miss that you didn't switch it. I hope I'm like recording. I am recording. Okay, good. Oops. What else is here? Yeah, this is like a super stacked thing for your first like 3 turns, first 4 turns. Like this might be a board where you forsake all of the 3 and 4 cards just to get page and raise. Yeah, you can do that. Seize the Day doesn't have any clauses at all about restricting how many in a row you can have, so you can buy mission and then seize the day. How come on Dominion games the landscapes don't tell you their types? That's funny. Maybe it's just events. Yeah, what do you open with page here? So many things. I would do mission. I'd love to do mission after you have a raise in your deck too. So like it could be like a really nice thing where you like opening page and raise has like a great potential for just hitting 4 nicely. Because raise basically works as a copper. It converts your estate into a copper, which is just being a copper. Yeah, I don't agree with that mission, even though it slightly worked here. What was the premise for the board designer here? A lot of the premises are just being ridiculous. Having a lot of stuff going on. Maybe it's not even worth getting page. I still think that you probably would. Maybe it's just that you like stop at warrior or something. Seize the day on turn 2. Maybe you do like champion just to do like watchtower stuff. Yeah, like Monument Watchtower is a deck that will eventually beat anything you want. Unless you just completely forsake stockpiles, which you kind of have to do, I guess, sort of. But like, yeah, after the players are like spent of stockpiles, then just playing a bunch of monuments and watchtowers is going to be really nice for you. Which is interesting. This is like a nifty one. Like all three of these boards have had the telltale stink of not being designed by somebody. Because they're all like slightly weird once you get going. Even though that's like what Dominion players like and will probably design kingdoms for. Yeah, with Mission you just like endlessly get 5 VP, like 10 VP a turn or something. Hakha cracks open the monuments already. I still feel like a stockpile would be better now. Yeah, stockpile is obviously better than gold. No plus buy after stockpiles are gone is like joyful. It's like special. It's like a nice opportunity for the players to like think differently. Yeah, Poorhouse would be better, you know, for getting a bunch of money. Like that's the Poorhouse is just like completely a tragic hero of this board where it has so much that it could do, but no buys with which to do it. The question is, does Hakha play champion before race to get the extra plus action? They do. And they find the watchtower right away, which is looking really good. Stockpile Mission is also so funny. Like, it's this extremely strong buying card that you want to use in the early turns, and Mission is like, okay, well, you can't buy cards in your early turns. Like a strong non-buying card. Which one do you do? I don't know. Classic recruiter skip here. Although maybe this is the turn that you buy one as Hakha, like you buy a stockpile and a recruiter. Just because Raze isn't that good at trashing coppers, and you want to get all those done. Also, another watchtower would just be good. I don't have faith in Mission anymore. If you mean why the players have Raze instead of Recruiter, it's because they bought it on like the first turns, where they did not have $5. I don't think that person's listening to me. Yeah, mission gets good again. I should say once all your stockpiles are in exile. All of these stockpiles are in exile. Yeah, and they do go for another watchtower. Then I've like learned this the hard way one time, that drawing cards is sometimes the way that you trash your cards. I like had that exact thing happen in a board with Watchtower where I was like, why am I not trashing my opponent is? But they were just buying Watchtowers in addition to Foragers. Oh. Yeah, I didn't see what their combo was. Hi. I guess Raze is nice because it eventually gets out of your deck. and you're gonna draw those extra cards with Watchtower anyway, but that's not really anything. Seize the day? Yeah, there's... In fact, I feel like that should have already happened one of these turns where the players bought nothing on a mission turn. Because the best time to buy Seize the Day is when there's nothing competing with it. It's also great here because they can just... Yeah, they get the last 3 stockpiles. That's really nice. I'm going to say that Hakha has seized the game in this one too. Seize the Day is such a thinker because the time when you get it is like it's a different decision than almost anything else. It's like the same thing as like when you get Importer and Island Folk. It's like, when do you take that extra turn? Because there's a slightly obvious answer, which is like turn 1, turn 0 or whatever. But you know, like if you wait, then you can maybe like look at what your opponent does for a longer time or something. You can like spring a bunch of stuff all in one go, which is maybe sometimes good. This is going to be very hard for TeamOkay to win. And their mission turn isn't doing anything. I mean, it's trashing a card, which is the same thing as what Hakha's mission turn did. And also buying a Seize the Day. But yeah, I mean, Hakha has the chance to turn as many stockpiles as he wants into Watchtowers and Monuments to begin the boring period. The mission doesn't really do anything. I mean, the mission is now just victory points. I would rather, again, turn those into, like, extra Watchtowers. Boom, 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 boom. I mean, yeah, TeamOkay can do the same thing. It's just that like you're playing Stockpile Stampede or Collection Stampede with only 3 collections. And it's not going to work. Woo, Poorhouse. Poorhouse. I mean, Poorhouse, when you do not have to worry about having villages, that is a fast way of getting provinces. But Hakha is going to outscore 1 province a turn easily. Yeah, there just isn't a point in retaining your stockpiles for anything. I guess it's like you can buy a 2nd province if you want one of these turns for all the good that does you. You still have another game to play if you want. I think, right? Isn't it first to 3.5? Isn't that what I said? Yeah. That's okay. They're also under the speakful mouth of the scukp master. This is me referring to this thing I said in the Discord chat, which is that they're under the watchful eye of the scukp master. Which is already a different name than I gave myself. What did I say? I was like the scukpster. Yeah. Look at this one. Wow. Cool. Hakha boldly opens with Envoy. I don't know what the point of that is. Oh, it's totally for Cemetery. That'll be great. I still have to think that rope has got to be pretty good. So wait, what did Hakha do with the Envoy? Oh, they didn't draw it. That's no good. I should think that this is just a cemetery. Just trash 2 states. Yep, I think that that's better than anything else you could have done. Only slightly, though. That makes sense to think there. This is also a cool board. I like this board. This is a board that, like, a fan of Leprechaun would have designed. I think there's no bigger fan of Leprechaun than the Random Kingdom generator, though. Maybe this hates Leprechaun because of Envoy, and you can just click on Leprechaun and be screwed. Or your opponent might click on Leprechaun and you're screwed. But then you get 4 other good cards. Oh yeah. Well, you can get 2 seals out of it if you want, or 2 golds and hexes. You know what you can do is you can play seal, and then put the gold that you gain on top of your deck, and then draw it with something, and be like, yippee. That actually sounds like super reasonable. I mean, it's easier than playing 7 captains, but with less payoff. So who's to say? This, I think you've been the Envoy. You can, like, gain a curse to your hand and then top deck it. Like, what if you didn't want to draw any other cards? What if you wanted to play Bazaar, but you don't want to trip to shuffle? You can gain a copper onto your deck and then top deck it. You can gain the gold. And, I mean, yeah, I would rather have a rope than a gold, I think. The players are pretty consistently choosing to play everything instead of trying to gain a gold or trying to work it out so you gain a ghost, which I think is generally good. Oh, and Hakha is over for Hakha. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, missing the early envoy was really, really stinky. I do think that was a slightly better open. And it would have been really great to see it on turn 3 instead of turn 5. Wow. I definitely agree with the Sea Witch there. Wow, they're just like churning through it. A very random kingdom. Does the one... No conquest synergies. Does the one hex have you reveal the top cards of your deck? No, you look at them. So it's just Ironmonger. Old Village is interesting. I would not take Candlestick Maker over Ratcatcher. You're getting cursed. Ironmonger, I mean, it's solid, but it's not really exploitable. Like, you can only get at most one coffer out of each patron. And it's also kind of hard to set that up. Which one's Mountain's Gift? Silver? I don't know. Oh, yeah. Because of Conquest, yeah. I mean, there's the Conquest synergy, just buying Conquest over and over again. I think that, like, 90% of the time that Conquest is good, it's because you can do that, really. I mean, sure, like, if you gain it, like, play Monument or play Masterpiece in Conquest. Isn't Masterpiece, like, not in this game anymore? But that's like its synergy. Conquest's best synergy is good ways of trashing your silvers. I did have one game where I like tradered a colony or something and then bought 3 conquests. And in a colony game, that's like, you know, like as much VP as 4 colonies, I guess. Wish for 3 silvers. They say Dominion doesn't have power creep, and yet silver is a better card than gold. Yeah, somebody obviously designed this. Just some big fan of Conquest designed this board. This board does have good silver trashing. Although I'm not going to mess around with Conquest until like all the Den of Sins are gone. Dens of Sin and Sea's Witch. So this is good for Hakha, who like invisibly popped their secret lamp that I didn't notice. And by that I mean, what, magic lamp? What is it called? Magic lamp. Push for 3 silvers, remodel silver into silver. That like gets the silver pile empty quicker. The other like synergy for Conquest is buying Conquest while the silver pile is empty, and so you can just like sort of soak in all the VP without having to deal with the silver gaining. Like Watchtower. Conquest Watchtower. Oh, that would be something. Changeling is fairly good. They should make like a... What would be the version of Conquest that's like... gain 1 VP for every... like every card you've exchanged for a Changeling. Yay! What this game needs is more interactions with exchanging for cards. Exchanging for cards should be a reactable moment. This game needs more mechanics. Traveler's Vampire, Trader, Changeling Reports. Hermit, famously, which is like a interactions vacuum. But not Urchin. Okay, so I now see that piles are low. I think this is going to end on a 3 pile with curses and Dens of Sin and silvers. Yeah, I think that opening Den of Sin was just like really bad. Feels good. I mean, Den of Sin is like a card that does stuff when you gain it early in the game, but not on turn 1. I don't know. It's not so bad. I don't know. No, it's so bad. Doesn't even get any curses. Design space. This is a kind of brutal wish. Some Conquest better than Gold. Not necessarily for Hakha. Design the base. Space stations and ships. You'd get enough venture capital money to go out into space, but not enough to come back. If you make that company El Taco, I'll sink money into it. I'll sink $17 into it. United States. El Taco is currently in space. Things are going well for Hakha. But yeah, they don't have enough money to be drawing all, or they don't have enough draw to be drawing all their cards quite yet, I think. And so if they had 2 silvers, they wouldn't draw everything. But they are really nice for remodeling, I guess. Okay, it looks like Hakha has quite enough draw. No, they don't have quite enough draw. I didn't know that there's more stuff in the discard. This is a good chance for just double conquesting or double denning or single den, single conquest. Just to totally waste the points. Not only can you trash your silvers in a bunch of different ways, but you can also discard them for secret cave money. And discard them for the one gift that I don't remember what it's called. Earth's Gift. Ugh. This is looking bad. That's like one of those cases where you're just like dreading to see what the number of cards in your deck is after you reshuffle, and when you see that it's like 11, you're like, ugh, I'm never gonna get through this deck ever again. And they're only making it worse. They have to. I guess they are gonna get through this deck ever again this next turn. Oh, nice, 3 estates. You can't get rid of those. I guess you kind of need that. No, you don't. Oh yeah, totally. Good games. I think that Hakha... Oh yeah, I was looking at red catchers. Yeah, Hakha, I think, made enough, like, clearly winning choices. TeamOkay got a little bit screwed by just getting shown a card that they don't play with, which is kind of part of the scukp contract. But yeah, Hakha definitely played everything quite cleanly. They saw a lot of the extra goofy contingencies that the submitters brought to the table. And thus they become a scukp finalist and are guaranteed to earn at least 4 United States dollars, which means that I'm going to have to figure out how to send them to Poland somehow. Or figure out what to do there. Which is great. In fact, I was kind of hoping that Hakha would win. I don't know, not for any reason. I actually don't know if they have won any money in a Dominion tournament thus far, and I hope that they do. Or I'm hoping that they do. Okay. Who's the other finalist? The other finalist has not been determined yet. It is between Rust2 and El Taco, in fact. All right, I'm going to sign off. Thanks for watching, everybody. The viewers are what make tournaments happen, other than the players. I don't know. Okay, good night.